Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the good news. You know what's in the news. I know what's in the news. What's always in the news? What's in the news is the impeachment inquiry or the attempts by the administration to impede, block, whatever. The latest tactics, which are so obvious, is that because they cannot argue with the content and the evidence against the president, what they are arguing about is the process. They're saying the process isn't fair. The process that was designed by the writers of the Constitution, defined as they did, they're saying that process isn't fair. They're saying that the president's not being adequately represented. He has the right to certain things, which he has no rights to any of those things. So such is what is going on today. And what you're watching is the Republican faithful scramble to defend the president no matter what, at all costs, no matter what they have to do, no matter what they have to say, and no matter how stupid they have to look. They're willing to do it. They're willing to do it because they feel like this is what's on the line. As the Republican Party continues to let themselves be defined by Donald Trump. This weekend I had a rant moment at which I have mixed feelings about those rant moments, as many of you do, because I kind of lost my temper about Trump supporters. And I made a series of posts about Trump supporters and about Republicans in general, who mostly remain silent. And I quoted Dante by saying, "The hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in times of great moral crisis maintain their neutrality." This was just the beginning of the rants that I had this weekend, as I was so aggravated by what I was observing as the Republicans' attempt to somehow again delegitimate this process, that it made me strike out and say things, some of which I stand by still today. It's not enough to be quiet. I know a bunch of Republicans. I have black Republicans that I know, some of which I love dearly. And they too are quiet. It's a character issue. I can love you and one day we'll sit over a beer and have this discussion, because there's a difference in what we perceive as being integrity. There's such a difference. If you're silent on Donald Trump, I got Republican friends, they still posting Republican stuff, Vic. Oh, Republican picnic and Republican outing. Say right. Nothing about this president or this process. Now I understand how Adolf Hitler came to power. Good people do nothing. Good people look the other way. Good people say, it's not my problem. That's what's happening. And I know some of these good people. Other friends of mine are mad at their friends or mad at parts of their family for the same kinds of things. I can't get any logical explanation from Trump supporters. I've asked, even the ones that I know who, when I posted that Trump supporters are bigots, or at least for them bigotry is not a deal breaker, a lot of people resisted, and I still say the same. I agree. It's wonderful for many of you, my wife, brothers and sisters who are involved with black people, certainly many of you raising mixed children or black children. But it's not enough. Even them, your children, are going to ask you one day where you stood. Even them, your children. It's not enough. You can't explain to me certain specific questions. The president is the most documented liar in the history of the world. I will say that again. Donald Trump is the most documented liar in the history of the entire world. That enough should be enough to condemn him. That enough, but you need more. His comments. So, all of that, you give him a pass. You give him a pass. I have not had one Donald Trump supporter give me a logical explanation of why they give him a pass on just his lying. Just that one thing, I say. Just this one thing. Forget all the other things. But the prolific lying. I'm a pediatrician. I've never seen any children lie like this at any age. No children. This is the most prolific lying I've ever observed in my life. I haven't had a Trump supporter give me, well, they all lie. But they're not the greatest of all time liars. I agree. I think politicians all lie. They're not the greatest of all time. He is the greatest liar documented in history. That should be enough. But it's not enough. Let me tell you why it's not enough. Because the percentage of Trump supporters, that 37 to 40%, what America doesn't want to say is that's the percentage of hardcore bigots in the United States. See, when I grew up, when I was 13, 16, 85, 90% of America had Donald Trump's attitudes. Am I lying? All the black people out there, tell them. Tell them, all the black people out there that are 50 and above, tell them what white folks was like when you were a teenager. Tell them. And if you don't know, go wake your granddaddy up and your grandmama and ask them. So let me tell you what white folks were like when I was 13. They're all like Donald Trump. So the fact that today they're only 37% of America, we need to give that some applause. Because back when I was 13, that was 90% of America was racist bigots just like Donald Trump. 90%. Okay? Now it's down to 40%. Most of that because a bunch of them died. Just natural processing. Those old bigots are dead. They're just dead. So what you need to be celebrating and take really comfort in is that the percentage of hardcore bigots in the United States is now under 40%. I give that applause. I'm telling you, when I was coming up, it's 90%, 85%. All America was racist. Now let me talk a little bit about that because today's history, today's news is not the same as the regular news. Today's news is a reflection. Because I'm going to tell you about greatness. Because I thought about this weekend. I thought about greatness. And it occurred to me that the greatest stain on race, the greatest stain on greatness has to do with racism. See, racism is what keeps things from being great. And let me explain. To those who say, make America great again, let me say America has never been great. Okay, it certainly depends who you are. To the Native Americans who experienced genocide, that's genocide of the Native Americans is a big stain on America's greatness. Slavery, which has been here for a long time. Slavery and racism is America's legacy. That's a stain on America's greatness. America has the potential to be great, but remember, America is made up of men and women, so therefore it inherently will be flawed. And that should be okay to say that. Instead of saying make America great again, it should be make America greater. And that would be enough. Because to make America greater, all we have to do is start by acknowledging those stains on its greatness. See, we make America greater by acknowledging the stains on its greatness. When Americans acknowledge the evil of slavery, and there were people against slavery back then, they make America greater. When Americans acknowledge the evil of the genocide that we perpetrated against the Native Americans, when Americans say that, they make America greater. When Americans acknowledge what we have done to our women, that even today, 1/4 of the women in college report sexual assault. When we talk about those stains on America's greatness, we make America greater. And so that's what I decided I'm going to do. Because what the mistake is, they think that those of us who are leftists hate America. We don't hate America when we are leftists. We want to make America greater. And the way that we make America greater is by acknowledging those stains on its greatness. That's the way you do it. That's the way it is done.